guys, I know I said my next video was going to be the product review for the natural hair care for Canvas Beauty hair care products, but today we have to talk about something else. We had an unexpected family death. My maternal grandfather passed yesterday in the house. We were expecting it. He was going through transition. He had dementia that, of course, transitioned into Alzheimer's, and his body was deteriorating. He was losing a lot of weight, and the doctor pretty much said there's nothing else that they could do. So we were expecting that. However, it still does not take away the pain that you feel when someone dies. So a lot of you guys know that I dealt with the death of my father in 2019, June 2019. And honestly, before my father died, I've never experienced death at a closeness. Nobody extremely close to me has ever died before. I mean, I've had a few friends that died, a few uncles and things, some aunts. I've had them to die, but no one that I was like in contact with daily, no one like that has ever died. So the experience of losing my father was like traumatizing. I was actually in the house and we were doing CPR on him. My father died of a heart attack. It was like number 4, stage 4 heart attack, like the big one. I forget what they called it, but he died of a heart attack. And really, cat, my cat just came in the room. Hold on, give me a minute. Okay, I'm back. That's why I don't like cats. But anyway, my father died of a major heart attack. There was nothing wrong with him. My father was happy-go-lucky the night before he died. He was laughing and playing and just like playing with the dog and things. Like he was just happy. And all of a sudden the next morning he didn't wake up. Now mind you, I had just moved back in with my parents because I was about to purchase a home. I just got approved for a mortgage, and I was like, let me save some money by moving back in. And I was going to purchase a home, and of course the unexpected happened. So I decided to stay with my mom. But that morning was so traumatizing for me because I had to go through that. My father had been dead for a while, but in disbelief we started doing CPR and things on him, and he was already gone. My father was stiff, my father was cold, and it was just like, it was unbelievable because my father was only, I believe he was 58, and he was a healthy man. Like there was nothing wrong with him. But I guess the stress of life is really, in my opinion, what caused the heart attack. Because I mean, he was fine. There was nothing wrong with him. I mean, he had slight high blood pressure, but it was very under control. And he had just had a doctor's appointment maybe 2 weeks prior, and his numbers came back great. So the unexpected deaths, those are like extreme. Not to take away from anybody's level of pain, because people handle pain differently, and deaths and pain should not be compared. But for me personally, I am dealing with my grandfather's death a lot easier than it was my father's, because my grandfather was in transition for the last 2 weeks. We knew it was coming. We just didn't know the day. It still hurts. I haven't really got a chance to extremely grieve my father yet. I'm not over that. As soon as I'm like started grieving my father, I had another father figure in the cowboy world, John Wilson, who passed as well right in front of my eyes. So to witness these 2 men pass, and I'm there to witness this, like it's heartbreaking, and it actually caused PTSD for me. So I was avoiding even seeing my grandfather. To be very transparent with you, I would go over there, but I wouldn't go in the house. I wouldn't say anything to him. I wouldn't call him or anything. And honestly, you can say what you want. I don't feel bad about that, because I know for me, it was important for me to keep my mental health together. And I suffered from PTSD as a result of my father's passing and the traumatic events that happened that morning. So I know what I can and cannot manage at this point. So it was hard for me. But when he did pass yesterday, I did go visit. went to my grandmother's house. He was still there. They had not yet announced him dead. The nurse has to come in there and announce him dead, and they were just getting there, and they announced it, and it was hard for me. It was really hard for me. But I think the fact that my father died just last year, it really toughened me up to be able to understand it more and accept it. So today's video, I'm not going to cry, but today's video is all about coping with death and grieving, okay? I got my little notebook again. So, of course, I just told you about my experience with my father, my grandfather, and how I'm doing. I'm managing. I can just say that. I'm managing both deaths, and I'm functioning. It does not take away from the pain. It does not get better, but it does get easier. I will say that. So if you are dealing with something right now where you had a close relative or friend or anyone that died and you're feeling some kind of way, it does get easier. And I'm not just being cliche. It does. It takes a while. You're not, I don't like to use the word better because it doesn't get better. It doesn't get any, like, you don't feel better about death, but it does get easier, and you learn to manage and you learn to cope with it, okay? So first I want to start with where I want to transition to, because I started with something already, but anyway, I want to transition to the 5 steps to grieving, and I experienced every last one of them, guys, and you're going to experience them too if you're dealing with someone's passing. There is no particular order for these 5 steps. I went to counseling and I learned about them, so I want to let you guys know about them. It is a final step, which is acceptance, but the first 4, they're in no particular order because you can experience them at different levels, okay? One of the steps is denial. I experienced denial. I didn't believe that my father was gone. Like, it was crazy. Like I said, it was unexpected. So I didn't believe that he was gone. That's why we were doing CPR on my father. He wasn't gone. I was in denial. My mom was in denial. My son was in denial. And denial is like a stage that you're going to go through. You don't believe that this person that you spent so much time with, that you just saw the other day, that you just saw yesterday, that you just saw an hour ago, you don't believe that they're gone now and they're gone forever and you won't be able to see them again. So one of the stages of grief is denial. Another stage is anger. I experienced major anger. And more so, I would say the anger portion is now rather than it was early on. I get ticked off very easily. And I have the patience of my dad, okay? I get ticked off, I get angry, and I lash out. Now that I've been in a house with my mom, I'm still here living with her. Anger is like one of the number one things that we both deal with, and it's very hard being 2 adult women living in the same house. So anger, man, all I can tell you is get lots and lots of therapy and work it out, y'all. We can't be angry all the time. It's not healthy. So that was one of the reasons why my father was stressed out, angry at his job, his employment, and things like that. So we have to manage that anger. Bargaining was one of the things that I dealt with very early with my father's passing. Bargaining is like, what could I do differently that would have not caused him to die, or would have saved his life potentially, or should I have been this place when this happened? Bargaining is basically giving options and thinking about what you could have done to change the outcome of the passing. For me, my bargaining was, I had witnessed my father in that same spot on his sofa in his bedroom the night before, maybe like 11 or 12 o'clock at night. I just came from the horse barn, from cleaning stalls and practicing, and I saw my father in the bedroom. Lights, every light was turned on in the bedroom, and my father is a stickler for electricity, okay? The lights were on, the TV was on, and my father was just sitting down normally, fell asleep on the couch. That's all I saw. But I didn't take notice to things that he may not have been breathing. You know, all of the lights were on in the house. He's a stickler. Why were the lights still on and he's asleep? So I didn't think of these things because, again, my father was a healthy man and you just don't expect him, the denial part. So I'm now to this point, still to this day, thinking, what if I didn't go to the barn that night? What if when I came in the house, I would have said something so that it, you know, we could have called 911 earlier. Like, that is one of the things that I say I dealt with the longest, was the bargaining stage, okay? Depression is a stage. That's one of the 5 stages. Number 4, I'm going to just say, again, in no particular order. Did I deal with depression? Yes. And my depression wasn't in a way, I would say, a sadness, because I feel like depression is many different levels and you can handle depression many different ways. I was a functioning depressed person. My depression led more to me being on this YOLO thing, okay? You only live once. So my depression was eating what I want, doing what I want, being with who I want, and not worrying about my health, what people thought about me, their perception of what the things that I was doing. I was just totally YOLO. Like, I know y'all saw it on Facebook. I was YOLO. I didn't care. I didn't care who I dealt with. I didn't care about, you know, talking to multiple people, men and things. I didn't care about, I just went on this crazy, exciting time. And I just was like, YOLO, you only live once. And I was making that my excuse. But all in all, it was a form of depression. And I couldn't pinpoint that until I went to therapy. So Black people, I'm going to tell you now, there is absolutely nothing wrong with therapy. Get you a therapist. Figure out who works for you. You know, you might go through 3 or 4. I went through 4, okay? 4 therapists, because I didn't have anybody that I felt was giving me what I needed in these sessions, okay? Therapy is healthy. Therapy points out things that we don't notice. And you might be diagnosed. I was diagnosed with PTSD, acute PTSD. So it's not long lasting. It was acute PTSD. And I didn't realize why I was acting, or why I was not, I didn't want to be around death. I didn't want to talk about death. I didn't want to, somebody's friend or family member died, I didn't want to be a part of. I didn't want to talk about it. And then when John Wilson died, my reaction that day, I totally blacked out. I was gone. Everybody that saw me there, I was gone. I couldn't deal with it because the PTSD, it's a rush and you don't know how to handle that. But therapy, okay? But therapy. Let me say it again for you, Black people, because I don't know why our race is so ashamed of it. Therapy, it works, okay? And the very last step is acceptance. You learn to accept it. You learn to move on. You learn to cope with things. Again, it does not get better, but it gets easier. You begin to do the things that you normally did in life, and you just accept that person is gone. Okay? That's the most important stage, because that's the stage when you start functioning a little better. And therapy will get you there, okay? So that is the 5 stages of grief. Again, no particular order. YouTube would not let me be great and post a 19-minute video. So I have to give y'all 2 parts of this video. Part 1, you just heard it. Part 2 is about things that you should not say to someone who has just recently lost a loved one. And it gives you advice on things that are acceptable to say. So join me for part 2.